technology to allow every developer to realize their full vision.
Where are the games at?
Where are the games?
Where are the games?
It's dry. Where are the games?
I kind of keep waiting for them to do their thing.
I don't see anything.
These are easily the most pointless upgrades I've ever experienced.
What is the point of buying a console if you can just make a PC?
If you're gonna have everything on PC, why not just buy a PC and abandon the console?
Where are the games? Where are the deadlines? Where are the projects? Where are the teases? Like, it feels weird that it's like,
Why buy consoles?
Now comes the fun part. We get to see how the development community takes advantage of that feature set.
What's going on, guys? This is your boy Ligo 1/2 Endure, and yes, we're back again with another video. Like I said, I know I have my spurts in there, but like I said, I am gonna try to keep this as constant as ever. So basically, every Friday, keep a lookout for this. We're gonna do every Friday. We're gonna do Generation End video. So as we said, let's jump into this. Even though what I'm about to play are people who also are part of the problem, and I don't have that high regard for them. But again, if a person is correct, I've said it before, if a person is correct, even my radio show, people are like, oh, I said, even if it's a criminal, even the person I don't like, but if they're telling the truth, I'll be stupid to not say they're telling the truth, even though I don't like them. So here we go with, was Nintendo correct? In my opinion, I have proven this over and over again. Hell yeah, they have been.
Past few months, and by extension the entire console generation, it's that Nintendo was right. Let's back things up for a second. For years, Nintendo has been scrutinized for making consoles less powerful than the competition. The Wii was a machine for babies that couldn't produce HD visuals. The Wii U chose a Fisher-Price tablet screen over PS4 level specs. And the Switch is just a toaster that makes Mortal Kombat look like nightmare fuel. So why does Nintendo do this? Why do they embarrass themselves by releasing subpar hardware alongside powerhouses like the PS5 and Xbox Series X?
Simple. Games and money. Because they know their philosophy works.
Seriously, these two systems wipe the floor with the Switch, and Nintendo should feel ashamed of releasing a console that doesn't support 4K 120 FPS minimum. Everyone knows graphics are more important than gameplay. Alright, let's
snap out of that reality and snap back. Snap out of your reality and get back into the real reality. That ain't true. If I ain't playing and having fun, I don't care what it is. I could play a 16-bit game, which a lot of people have been playing, like Super Mario and all that stuff. I don't care. Is it fun? Yes, I'm playing a game called New Star GP. It is not like Formula One, 100% Formula One with the realistic graphics, photorealism, and all that stuff. But it has the same physics, and that's all I care. And it's fun and frustrating in some places, but fun.
Snap back to reality. The point is, Nintendo knew that simply creating powerful hardware wouldn't help them in the long run. In a way, they promised to their fans and the industry that they would provide platforms with unique ideas instead of simply making more powerful machines. Not to say they haven't made a few mistakes along the way, but experimentation like this bred the Nintendo Switch, which became the third best-selling console of all time and resulted in Nintendo becoming the most profitable they've ever been, all while having the weakest console on the market. They really adopted this philosophy during the DS and Wii era nearly 20 years ago. In this time, the Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3 were blowing the minds of consumers with some cutting-edge technology. Games were looking more real than ever before, all displaying at a crisp 720p. HD gaming was here, but Nintendo seemed behind the curve with the DS compared to the PSP, and even more with the Wii compared to the HD competition. It was barely more powerful than the GameCube, still standard definition, and it had a TV remote for a controller. Plus, it was marketed towards the filthy casuals, the little kids, the grandmas, people with very limited gaming experience. It wasn't hardcore enough for the gamers who were growing up and playing those mature, realistic games. Even
And I want to point something here where he just said right here, and I've seen this, and the thing about this, I've seen this in real life. I don't know evidence, but I've seen this. The people who, the mothers and fathers, mostly fathers, but there's some mothers out there, I've seen that. Shout out to Sprite. Sprite said the same thing with Super Nintendo, with his mom. They played Nintendo games. Nintendo games are safe enough and good enough that they could put the games back in front of their children and don't have to worry about nothing. All the Xbox and PlayStation guys, now PlayStation has a little bit more. I'll admit to that. PlayStation have a little bit more of games that could transcribe over whatever. So so Switch is PlayStation is like in the middle. Xbox, I know a couple of Xbox guys. Their children do not play Xbox. They're more into this phones and Fortnite and all that nonsense, but they have not transcribed over to Xbox now. Xbox have not helped because they're not putting out no games to make you really want to play Xbox like back in the 360 days, but I digress. But Nintendo, all the people I see who use Nintendo, their children are playing Nintendo. That's the difference. That's when Nintendo breed their family. My kids, if I ever got children, I guarantee you, they're gonna be playing Nintendo. Katie's children, whenever if she get children, she gonna be playing Nintendo with her kids, including with the collection we have.
Even though the Wii was an insane commercial success, outselling the 360 and PS3, it still wasn't viewed favorably by non-Nintendo fans and even the mainstream media to an extent. Heck,
wow, what a waste. The poor children.
Yeah. Do I care what the mainstream media thinks? No, the mainstream media thinks that are asked a question to our legitimately. Our mainstream media asks a simple question to our economic chief advisor. How do we make money for the Biden administration? And he couldn't even answer that question. And in my head, I'm like, holy Jesus.
What? What the fuck?
That's scary. And that's reality.
heck, I don't even remember Wii games taking part in many Game Awards nominations. Well, at that point they were owned by Spike TV, so what'd you expect?
Exactly.
Still, I'm sure Nintendo didn't care at all about being the face of modern gaming or whatever. They were playing the long game, with ideas like the Wii and Wii U, even though the latter was far from a success. I mean, just listen.
And I hate when people say this, and this always pisses me off. It was not, okay? It was not a commercial success, but it was a gaming success. No, I've done the videos over and over again. The Wii U made more money for Nintendo because their games sold than Xbox and Microsoft because they got a little bit of money because of licenses and stuff. Nintendo sold more, made money. Duh. I mean, the part that killed me about it. Let me see if I can go because he had it there. So let me put it up there. We're back. We're at 303. Let me put it here because he put it up there. So let me see if I can find it. Damn it. I don't think it's here. I don't think it's here in that video, so I'll let it go.
To what former Nintendo of America president Reggie Fils-Aimé had to say about the competition.
Yeah.
The graveyard of any industry is filled with the headstones of companies who decided to keep doing things the same old way, playing only on the margin, making things just a little bit better. That strategy works. for a while,
while.
but ultimately it's fatal. Wow, that's a very accurate statement. When did he say this anyway?
He said this back in the 2000s, but the thing about it, Kevin, about it, sadly, Nintendo will have to play because they have created their own trap now. I'll give Nintendo a problem. You have to, the next generation has to be a hybrid console like this. Now the one after that, I don't know. What can you do after that? I don't know. VR Nintendo, that's the only thing I can think of, but beyond that, let's go.
A few years back, maybe when the Switch came out? No. He said this in 2006 on stage at E3 promoting the Wii. He elaborated on this further, saying this about Super Mario 64.
That leap to a revolutionary form of gaming wasn't really about the looks. It was about the feel. Moving your character and your viewpoint independently in any direction, all in real time. And the memory of that moment was also the starting point for Wii. How do we make games that feel entirely new all over again?
You see, Nintendo knew during the very conception of 3D gaming that it was important to have great gameplay over great visuals, something the competitors seem to have forgotten in recent years. Of course,
No. We've been saying that since 2006, sadly, and they still don't want to listen. Hardcore gamers, whatever that is, PC, I got my PC with 55 gigaflips and flops and tetra dives and all this stuff. Like my PC right now is a powerhouse that I have. Could do anything, I could play any game without no problem, whatever. Here's the problem. I don't play games on it because I don't need to. I like my consoles if you don't like. Simple. Just plug and play.
Of course, PlayStation and Xbox aren't dead, but they're not in great spots. The PlayStation 5 has been selling well, but nearly 4 years on the market, and it only has around 10 exclusive games to show for it. Most of the big PlayStation Studios games have also been released on PS4, so what's the point of getting a PS5 other than to have better graphics? And don't even get me started on Xbox. Microsoft has been buying studio after studio with very little to show for it. And even if one of their studios releases a hit, that doesn't mean they won't get shut down anyway. Why is this happening?
Surprise.
There are many factors at play here, but two major problems are long development times and huge development costs.
Yep.
Making AAA games for these powerful consoles is a long and expensive affair, with budgets skyrocketing close to the billion mark and development time taking half a decade minimum. As a result, these companies are less inclined to take risks on games that aren't guaranteed hits. And when a game fails to meet absurd sales expectations, layoffs occur or studios get shut down. Honestly though, Hi-Fi Rush was a hit, so I don't know why Tango Gameworks had to get dissolved. Still, this is unsustainable. And if more powerful consoles mean longer and more expensive game development, then why even come out with new consoles? Seriously, video games already look real enough. How many polygons can you keep adding?
Our internet bill went up?
Looks like you need a variety.
Not surprising because of stuff. He is correct about that.
Nintendo is not affected nearly as much by these issues. Because Switch is not a powerful machine in comparison, games aren't as expensive or time-consuming to create for it. Though they still look good, they're not as graphically intensive, meaning developers can spend.
No, but when you put them on good TVs that go up-res, it looks flipping fantastic. This on my 4K TV, holy shit, it looks good. It looks good. And because Nintendo does something that a lot of people don't know. Oh, wait, sorry. A lot of people didn't know until now, even though I said they did it back on the Wii. On the Wii U, I'm sorry, on the Wii U console, and also the GameCube. They're putting higher res textures than usual, so it pops when it needs to pops. They've done that. They have put 4K textures on the Wii U. Pikmin fruits are in 4K. Mario 3D World had 4K textures as well too. They had packages in there. They did it, but they didn't need it to do that. They just wanted to pop so they could have it good.
And more time in making their games play great instead of just look great. Though there are exceptions, like the highly complex Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, the latter of which was praised by developers for what it accomplished on then 6-year-old hardware. Because of this, Nintendo's many teams and external studios can put out multiple games in a single console generation.
Exactly.
You know, kind of like how things used to be. What's also interesting is that Nintendo is more profitable than PlayStation in particular, because even though the latter had higher sales this past fiscal year, their operating profit was half of Nintendo's thanks to the astronomical budgets of PlayStation Studios games. Just goes to show the detrimental and unsustainable state AAA development is in. That isn't to say Nintendo is completely immune to the issues PlayStation and Xbox are facing. In the latest investor Q&A, President Shuntaro Furukawa said that game development will inevitably become longer, more complex, and more sophisticated in the future, and they will continue to invest and expand their development resources. Perhaps a sign of this is that their overall output has already decreased this generation, despite merging their handheld and home console platforms into one. Journalist Steve Totillo equated this to Nintendo likely feeling less inclined to make smaller, bite-sized games that used to be on dedicated handhelds like the DS and 3DS. Honestly, even though their overall game output is slowing down, they're still doing a way better job at providing a vast quantity of quality games than Xbox and PlayStation, and they're delivering more games on a single platform than they ever have before. Perhaps as a result of this more mindful approach, Nintendo has also largely been able to avoid the layoffs that have plagued a ton of other companies, barring one event in 2014 involving 320 Nintendo of Europe employees, but thanks to the position they're in now, due to the Switch's success and inexpensive development costs, their employees get to keep their jobs, whereas other game companies pour hundreds of millions into game development, and when their game isn't a success, the employees are the ones to suffer, which in the end is the result of corporate greed. When Nintendo fell on hard times during the Wii U and 3DS era, the president and CEO Satoru Iwata cut his pay in half because he knew that game developers wouldn't be able to do great work if they were worried about losing their jobs. Man, if only every other CEO held the same values. If you agree with that, subscribe and hit that notification bell. Anyway, Nintendo's promise of interesting hardware instead of more powerful hardware has paid off in spades for everyone. They experimented with every console to the point where they hit a gold mine with the Switch, which trades off horsepower for portability. And because it's not that powerful of a system, it's actually easier for Nintendo's in-house developers to make games on, unlike the PS5 and Xbox Series X, which takes hundreds of millions of dollars and around 5 years to make one game for them.
Exactly.
We're seeing the results of this with few AAA releases and even fewer risky endeavors. The Switch does not have this problem, with at least one exclusive game releasing what feels like every month. Now, what does this mean for Switch 2? Nintendo themselves admitted they see future games taking longer to develop with new hardware, but honestly, I don't see them fall into the same pit as PlayStation and Xbox. They'll still have a lot of development teams in the next generation that I'm willing to bet will put out more quality exclusives than the competition, even if it's not as frequent as it was on Switch. There will also be lots.
That will be true, but if they have backwards capability, man, are you kidding me? I have at least a 75 game backlog on my Switch. So if they're gonna do that, I'll be all right.
Of support from third-party and indie developers, because you know they're going to want to jump on that Switch 2 bandwagon. All the third-party devs who aren't currently developing Switch 1 games are going to get in on Switch 2 as soon as they can. I guarantee there will be no shortage of games for the Switch successor in the first few years. And even though it'll be a more complex system to develop for than the current Switch, developing games for it will still be significantly less complicated and expensive than on PS5 and Series X. There's always a chance that I'm wrong and the Switch 2 could be a complete failure, but I think Nintendo is going in the right direction here. They don't need their new console to be as powerful as a PS5, because this generation is proving that hardware doesn't mean jack if you don't have the software to back it up. The Switch 2.
And that's why I did the video you guys saw earlier, and go back to it, talking about the games. That's why I put the title, as you saw in the intro. Where's the games? Where's the games? We need the games.
Should still be more powerful than the Switch 1 to get those partners on board, but the focus should always be on how the games feel, not look. That's been Nintendo's philosophy this whole time. You could have the best looking game in the world, but if it's not fun, why bother? Hey, that's another Reggie quote.
If it's not fun, why bother?
It's exciting to see what the future holds for Switch 2, and if PlayStation and Xbox continue down this graphics-obsessed road, Nintendo might once again dominate the console market with yet another underpowered machine.
Which is their good story. That's what I like. That's what I like about it. So with that said, yeah. Even though I use Game Explain, which is not something I like to use because those guys used to annoy the crap out of me. But again, when they're right, they're right. And that's why I did it. So with that said, thank y'all for joining me again. Remember, there's no perfect games out there. What's perfect to you is not perfect to me. What's perfect to me is not perfect to you. Simply enjoy your games on all consoles, including PC. Peace out.